Morning, guys. We're here today in the cemetery, well, a crematorium. We're not doing an investigation. I'm here actually to interview somebody. She's not from the TV or a movie and that, but she's well known in the paranormal field. So I thought we'd do this interview to get to know her a little bit more and how it all started for her. And you will know who she is once she comes on camera and that. So yeah, okay guys, we'll get on with the interview.
Hello.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have got Jo Chadband here. As you know, she's a paranormal investigator. So I'm going to ask her a few questions, and if there's something she don't like, she can tell me. And that. So Jo, the first question I'd like to ask you is, how did it all start in the paranormal world for you?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, because when I was about 8, maybe 9, my mum used to be a cleaner at the Ben Hall in Rugby, and many a times, obviously she couldn't get anyone to look after me, so I'd have to go with her, and I was always told to sit in the office and just behave myself. But I always had a feeling I didn't like going to the ladies' cloakroom if I needed the loo or anything, because I always had the feeling I just didn't like it in there. And if you are familiar with the Ben Hall, then you'll know that there's a function room, and to the left of the function room there's a pair of double doors. And in there, I mean, I'm talking years ago, in there was like storage with all the tables, chairs, and there was a piano in there. And I used to just mess about with the piano, press the odd keys, everything. But I always had the feeling that there was someone in there with me. But because I was only young, I didn't really think much of it, and it didn't really scare me until I was messing about on the stage and I started to hear the piano play, and that really just fripped me. And I went running off to Mum, told her about it, and yeah, that's it. But ever since then, everything, death, what happens, everything's been really, really fascinated with me. And the more I've grown up, the more I've been interested in it. Yes, I've watched all the shows when they first came out. I watched all the films about it and everything. And it's just been a passion of mine. And even at school, I wanted to become a Ghostbuster, if you want to call me that. So yeah, that's how it started, and it's just continued from there, really.
I mean, you talk about how you got into it, like with the Ben Hall where it started, and a lot of people who do these sort of investigations, they try to seek out the truth for themselves as well as other things, in fact, right. I want to touch on the subject. You've been to, as far as I know, you've been to many locations now doing the paranormal. If you could pick one of your favourites, which one would it be?
Oh, that is really, really hard, because my favourite at the moment is a place in Northampton. And I did upload a video the other day. I did have a bit of a negative energy with me, but it wasn't bad. But it's so lovely and peaceful there. There's been many places. I can't really answer you with that, because there's been many places. But I think that's my favourite at the moment, because the spirits know me. I know them. My energy's there. So it's really great, and I don't mind where I go, because I know Paul's interviewing me, but since working with Paul, I've become a lot aware of things now, and I too can sense things when there's things around. So yeah, so that is a favourite place of mine at the moment, is Northampton. I nearly said where it was, but I'm not going to. But yeah, so that's my favourite. But everywhere's my favourite. I've had some bad experiences. But other than that, everything's been fine.
I mean, we talk about, as you say, your favourites and where you've been on your locations and that. Have you? I mean, you've obviously been as you say, to a lot of places, and you felt a lot of negativity in some of the places, and that you've even got in contact with some of the spirits personally yourself.
Yep.
That I'm aware of. I'm going to ask you this question as well, Jo, because obviously you're a mum to 3 kids, and your husband is Richard. How does your husband feel about you doing this? You know.
Well, I've never really had a hobby as such. Never really done anything, and I've always liked the paranormal. You know, I'm always making him watch the shows with me and everything. And then he says, "Well, why don't you take it up as a hobby?" So I thought, no one will be interested. You know, it's not going to work and everything. Sorry, a bloody fly's just passed me. It's not going to work and everything. And he was like, "Well, you don't know until you try it." And before I knew it, he'd set me up the Facebook page. I've got my YouTube channel, and it's just gone from there. And another thing as well, on touching on that subject, when I first started to get all my gear, I did mention about a spirit board because it's part of the paranormal kit, and he just refused. He was like, "No, you're not having one. They're not having one. No, you're not having one. End of. Not having it in the house. Not having it in with the kids and whatnot." But then over time now he's more aware and he's more understandable about it. So now he's so proud of me, and he's just like, just go for it. And you know, I don't put any of my family in danger. Obviously, there are times when Rianne has actually come out with us on investigations, but she's always been protected. You know, she stays out the way. She doesn't get involved. So yeah, all my family are all for it. They love it.
That's great to know, isn't it? I mean, your husband's obviously a very big part of this and a very big supporter of you.
Yep.
And that. I did hear a little story. He's not so happy with you though when you go on Halloween hunts.
No, because everyone who knows me, I absolutely love autumn and Halloween. It's got to be one of my favourite times of the year. And yes, everyone's laughing because I have to be on a kiddie's wrist restraint, because if I go into somewhere that's got Halloween decorations, you can guarantee I will come out with a bag full of them. I don't need them, but I want them. And like a spoil that he loves me, I get them. So, like with the Halloween mug I got yesterday, you know, it was either that or a Ouija board doormat. But no, I chose for the mug instead. So yeah, Halloween's my all-time favourite, and autumn.
Yeah, so touching back onto the paranormal, if you had to give anybody advice of how to start up, what would the advice be?
Clear head, open-minded, and believe. Because spirits are around us all the time. But some of us are probably just not open-minded enough to it. When you go into somewhere, like here, we're at the Creme today, doing this interview, there will be spirits wandering. And some people probably don't believe. They're like, "Oh no, I don't believe in that, all the stuff." But you don't know. So my advice is, you know, if some people think you're crazy talking to yourself, you're not crazy, because you're obviously talking. You've got to be in tune with yourself. If you're not prepared to open your mind and look into these things and think about these things, then you're not in tune with them. So, you know, and you know, if you go to a place, you will get a feeling if there's something there or not, whether you're well into your paranormal or whether you're sensitive to things like that. Because in the beginning, I wasn't really that sensitive to stuff, but now I can walk into a cemetery, I can walk into a church, and straight away I just get the vibe. I just get, oh, I don't like it, or I do like it. And yeah, so just be open-minded. You know, when you see about these things or weird things happen, you know, if a light suddenly comes on or if the telly switches on and everything, you know, just think to yourself, could it be paranormal? or could it be a fault? And the first thing I'd do is think about the explanatory things. You know, what could it have been? Could it have been a power surge? Could you have had, you know, the batteries running out or something? And then if it keeps happening, just ask yourself, well, is someone trying to communicate with me? Is someone trying to give me a sign or something? So, yeah, just be open-minded. Just go in with a clear head, open mind, and yeah, you'll be fine.
That's good advice, that is, isn't it? Yeah. The other question is, say if one of your kids came up to you in later life and said, "Mum, I want to be a paranormal investigator," how would you react on that one?
I'd be with them all the way.
So you'd give them a lot of
I'd
support
give
then?
them an awful lot of support. You know, if they want me to go out with them, or if they want any advice or any help. I mean, I'm not the best paranormal investigator out there. You know, I'm far from it. But I've given advice, a lot of advice to my kids, as most parents do. And if they turn around, if like Rianne or Oliver turns around and says, "Mum, I want to do paranormal investigating," brilliant. I'll get you started, and off you go. You know, as long as you're safe, as long as you get a protection on you, which you just say the protection prayer, and you ask for the light and everything around you, and yeah, you know, I'd go for it.
That's great. Great.
I'd go for it.
Um, right. So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Joe, before we end the interview?
The one place I've had a lot of good experiences with paranormal investigation, but there's been a couple that have really sort of like got me a bit twitchy, and one of them, as you know yourself, you had to end it. Well, there's a couple that you've had to end.
Yep.
One of them is, I don't mind saying about this place because I'm not going back there because there's something really nasty and negative there, and that's Walsgrave Cemetery. We did an investigation there, and obviously I took Paul with me, and unfortunately I felt like I was being strangled, I was being choked, I was vomiting, I was getting really upset and panicky, and after it had been closed down I had two big marks around my neck. And that is one place that if any of you out there that will say, "Oh, I'll go there," off you go on your own, because I refuse to go in that cemetery, because there is something not nice at all, and you will get affected from it. The other place is a church that is associated with Guy Fawkes. Now, obviously it was my own fault because I was asking for something to happen, and something did happen, and that wasn't very nice. Again, I felt like I was being choked, I was being suffocated. It was really attaching itself to me. So they're the two places that I'm just not going to take any of you back there because I don't like it there. End of.
Yeah.
But with anyone who wants to do paranormal investigating, you know, come out with us. We'll show you what to do, and you ask the questions. You know, we'll get you all set up, and you ask the questions, because not always we get the right responses, and some responses have been very confusing. But if you're out there doing an investigation with us and you ask the questions, you could ask a particular question, you know, like, have I got a loved one with me or something, and perhaps a name could come through that you might find relevant to that. So yeah, just go for it. You know, we're here. Any help or advice you want, you know. Obviously I know Paul's interviewing me, but you know, he's brilliant. He's the medium of the group. You know, he can put a stop to things if things get out of hand, and he has done for me in the last few investigations. So yeah, just be clear-headed, open-minded, and just go for it. Yeah.
I think this has been a good interview to know a bit more about the paranormal, and to interview Jo as well as an investigator. I've been out there with Jo on many of investigations, and she handles it really well. Even when she's on her own, she handles it to the right way.
It's all right. Something just keeps drawing me over there. So I'm getting drawn over there. Here we go. We haven't even been doing an investigation, and already I'm getting the feeling that something. Well, you're looking at the camera. It's over that way, actually, because obviously it's reverse. So where I'm sitting, it's to my right, which is obviously on the camera, it looks like it's to my left. But yeah, I'm getting drawn over there. But we're not investigating today. We're having a day off from a bit today. So.
But as I said, I mean, I think interviews like this is good because it gets to know the person behind the investigations. You know, we could do loads of investigations, but to get to know that person, it's a better thing to do. I also know that if I get this wrong, Joe will probably tell me, but rugby ghost hunters, we do not do this for donations, money, or anything, um, or anything like merch and that. We do this solely off our own back. And I think Joe knows this as well, that it's a passion. It's a hobby, it's a passion, it's something that we love. And I think also it's keeping the past alive. You know, a lot of the people Joe had come through from the Victorian era and stuff like that, which is fascinating to know. And that. But yeah, I'm going to pass it back to Joe. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Joe, about this today?
No, not really. Like I said, I keep getting drawn over there for some unknown reason. But no, it's been good. Thank you for interviewing me. I feel really famous and posh now. But yeah, honestly, we're a great bunch of nutters. You know, we have a laugh when we come out on these investigations. And I know, like I said, Paul's interviewed me, but if you do come out on investigations with us and things start getting a bit twitchy, don't panic. Paul can stop it. He can put a close on it. You know, he's not the one that will just, if he thinks you're in danger or if he thinks that something's not right, he will close it and you will be absolutely fine. Obviously, it's a lot of cleansing with all the equipment we use. You know, I always sage it and spirit board with holy water. And yeah, so yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you, Joe, for coming on to do this interview today.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's been a pleasure. So on that note, guys, I'm going to end it. And we'll catch Joe on the next investigation.
Bye for now.
Goodbye.